Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, our 1 year rockiversary. We did it, boys. Where's Klump?
Oh, I had tape over my camera for security. Sorry.
No one's
That's how the
tuning into
virus
that.
Gets you.
Even if that was their job, was to watch you full time, they would quit.
That does make sense. My OnlyFans page has it's not drawing on a lot of money.
It's not doing what you thought it was going to do, the OnlyFans?
Yeah, I was hoping OnlyFans was going to be my way out, but nope.
Yeah, I kind of expected...
Because I'm just doing radio plays that sound like me moving furniture.
I expected a lot out of your OnlyFans as well.
Is that plural?
Yeah. On his, it's plural. We don't know why.
Man scratch yourself without realizing camera's on.
Yeah. Man's nipples droopier than it should be.
Man eats ravioli, does not realize he spilled it on shirt for 30 minutes.
All right, guys. Well, we did it. This is 1 year. 1 year.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm gonna drink to that, to 1 year. Going back old school. Day. What are you drinking, Kev?
Yep.
I'm drinking Dos Equis Amber.
Oh, going fancy.
Timely.
Yeah. Did you sanitize it?
Of course.
Yeah. I'm going old school, back to our original days, looking for a cease and desist from Crown Royal. Although we do have Wrestling on the Rocks in a pouch, we are not sponsored yet. Make something happen, guys. Make something happen.
Please.
Cheers, boys, to a year.
Cheers.
Boom.
Clink.
Drinking Starbucks that was served to me by a woman with a mask on.
That's not uncommon for you in general.
I was going to say, just the way you like it.
Yeah. It is
I
national.
pulled up, and when she had the face mask, I said out loud, this is something y'all should have done a while ago. Just for me. For y'all.
As soon as he walks in, they immediately put on gloves and a mask. Hey, Klump. Yeah. Pleasure to see you.
Alarm goes off.
It's more of a smell thing.
That makes sense.
I bring a lot of particles in the air. Fart particles.
A lot of must.
Yeah.
It is fitting, I think, that it is also National Beer Day, our 1 year anniversary. So I've got, also fitting for the times, a Tombstone Stout to commemorate also the Buried Alive match, which we will get to when we get to it. Quit pushing me.
I don't have beer or otherwise because I'm sober, and I hate ginger products.
As we found out today.
You're such a piece of shit. Go back and watch our whole archives. He drinks my fucking ginger beer all the fucking time, and he runs out of here and shits his pants.
Yeah. I'm honestly allergic to it. It's like milk with me, dude. It fires through me.
Oh my god. No wonder he's constantly, belching.
Yeah. The yawning, the belching, the not feeling right, the shifting around. It's all because I'm drinking things that are making me sick, but I'm a good, polite person.
The red and sweaty.
Yeah.
The dewy crying every time. Yeah.
That's depression.
He's been trying to play it off that it's just us talking too much shit about AEW, but really he's having an allergic reaction.
Yeah.
You're red and sweaty and all out of breath. Are you allergic to something? Yeah, that's it. Cool. It's not life and poor choices.
All right.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy hasn't been on TV in weeks.
First one I grabbed.
I thought you were going to wear your Orton shirt, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to...
I wore an AEW shirt after just saying that I was not really caring what I watched.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. Oh.
Was there anything you guys wanted to talk about on the top of it all before we get into the shows themselves? Anything you guys reading about, rumors or anything?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, I haven't seen a
No,
bunch.
I think we'll get into it all as we go.
Yeah, I think so. I've been surprised at some of the responses for some of the stuff that we saw this week, but I was excited to have such a long week of wrestling. Let's. We're live. We did it. We did it.
I got no audio with that dance, and it was the best thing ever.
No one saw a dance. No one knows what you're talking about. This is why I drink.
The only reason.
Yeah, welcome back to part 2, where every show's like our first show, because we can't figure this shit out.
With WrestleMania being too big for 2 nights, we thought we'd be too big for 2 shows.
Yeah, we were too big for one stream.
I'm so fat I have weight on the stream.
You
Yes, it's
disappeared
visible.
for a long fucking time, Klump. Half of that time was trying to get you back online.
I know.
We still look a little choppy. I don't know what else to do, but... Oh, yeah. This is good. This is good. This is why we're here. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Professionals.
Hey, Kevlar. The belt behind you, is that a world title with a gold strap?
This one?
Yeah, the foam one.
It's the old IC belt.
It's the IC one, right? It's Intercontinental, correct?
Yeah.
So they made like a gold dust version of it?
It's like brown.
Brown
Yeah.
dust.
But that's
Like when I fart.
That's true. You butt dust.
Yeah.
Well, we did it. We're back online
Artisanal butt dust.
on our 1-year anniversary and second show of the night.
Yeah,
National
that
Beer
deserves
Day.
a drink.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go through just a little bit. NXT, Dexter Lumis made his big debut. Remember how I was talking, we were watching the guy on NWA 70? His name was like Sam Shepard.
Yeah.
Remember how we mentioned about kind of how bad he was? We're like,
Yeah.
We're like, what a big dude. Why is he so bad?
Yeah, like why is he on your 70th anniversary show as a featured performer with Colt Cabana?
Yeah.
And he is... This is not a match that's going to be hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're competent. And no.
Yeah, but apparently it was only like a month or two after that he got signed with NXT. So, to put that into perspective, he's been under contract with NXT for like, what's that, close to 2 years?
Boy, does it show.
Yeah. When he showed up and he was showing stuff in the ring, at first I was like, oh man. Then I was like, wait a second. He's just been off TV for a while. They've got to have something brewing for him.
How'd he do?
He did really good. He looked good. He looked clean. I hated his entrance music. It was too much like Stranger Things. Is our audio coming in?
Our audio's coming in, yeah.
I think we're just going to have to deal with the video being choppy as long as our audio is still present.
Okay.
I just think it's what we have.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of a bummer. We're going to, if you guys would go ahead and give us a Prime subscribe. Costs you nothing, gives us $2.50. That's going to go towards a new computer. We're going to build a new computer for this.
We'll make this work.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
There's more bugs in the house than ever since we started quarantining. This is bullshit.
That's because you're stuck inside.
There's a lid.
Yeah.
Are they those goddamn like giant ass mosquito things?
No, they're like little fruit gnats. I don't see one there, but I definitely see one right there. Thank you.
How do you have fruit gnats?
I think the squirrel.
You have squirrel?
I have a squirrel.
Okay.
Alright, so NXT? Is that...
I don't know how he doesn't know I have a squirrel. I'm upset.
No, I'm character, kayfabe. Hey, trying to be character.
You're kayfabing my
This
squirrel?
is- yeah.
Um,
And look at you. You're just like you're killing kayfabe. This is the MSG incident right here.
I like MSG actually.
The curtain call?
No, the seasoning salt.
Oh yeah. I like not the arena, the seasoning salt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the Lowry salt.
You know that shit that's really bad for you? That's what I like.
Yeah.
It's actually not bad for you.
Anything that comes with,
Oh,
well, that in your neighborhood, I'm sure that's the thought. Let's see. They did have a gauntlet match, which was pretty decent. That made Shotzi Blackheart look really good. Ultimately, it went to Dakota Kai. This was for the winner being in the ladder match for #1 contender, which will be tomorrow night. My favorite part about the setup for this match was that Chelsea Green is in the ladder match. She said she was going to watch closely to this gauntlet match to see who she was going to pin to win the ladder match. I was like, I hope she does. I hope that's exactly how she wins. So check out her Twitter. It's a wild ride. Let's see.
So sometimes people in NXT do things that you're like, hey, yeah, that's why you're in NXT.
Yeah. You're like, oh, yeah.
Glad you're learning.
We got a sub! We got a sub! Woo!
Yeah, celebration parts.
Wow, producer likes this one. That's her favorite gimmick on the show. I guess I'll find that in the trash in the morning. Let's see. Kushida versus Joaquin Wilde was fine. It ended with Damian Priest versus Dominik Dijakovic versus Keith Lee for the North American title. And it was the same match we've seen with those three guys over and over again. There was nothing different or special about it. And Keith Lee won again. So we're just...
Are you sure it was a replay?
I wish it was a replay.
That's what these are. Just, we did good. We're just gonna keep playing this.
Yeah, let's just do that again.
If we ever have something like this ever happen again, then you know what? We have a lot of content for the Dijakovic Lee feud to just replay.
Yeah, we'll just go back. Here's the part of the feud you didn't see.
I like how people, for a while were like, they really need to separate KO and Sammy. This is worse than KO and Sammy by a lot.
Oh, yeah.
This feels longer.
This does. There's only so much you can be surprised by a specific person's athleticism, right?
Yeah.
And I think that when you throw it all out there so early on in their career that's on TV, I don't know where you're building to that's going to keep my excitement the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you see Keith Lee first come out and do a couple cool things that are big for a big man, and he has a match with Dominik Dijakovic, and you go, oh shit, these two dudes are doing crazy stuff for their size, that novelty does wear off. But
Yeah.
it doesn't have
I feel like absolutely. And I feel like with both of them, they're incredibly athletic, but they are putting them into the same spots.
Yeah.
Particularly Keith Lee. There are certain spots that you could almost say are Keith Lee spots. Well, we have to, get this camera here for this. He's going to do it. And yeah, there's callbacks. Yeah, there's signature moments. But I think in this era, we're seeing it more because they have more, I'll say creativity with their cameras.
What am I doing?
Where
It sounds like our Twitch is...
seeing almost the same
projecting.
shot. Like in a movie, it would be like if we use the same shot over and over again.
No, our Twitch is still going.
I know. It was just projecting out of there.
Yeah.
All right. Keep going.
But you get what I mean? Yeah, but like it feels not even like a callback like Eddie Guerrero would do, the Three Amigos in a match, or
Oh, yeah.
Eddie Guerrero would do, he'd lie, cheat, and steal, or he'd do, shake his shoulders. Yeah, he does that, but you don't get the same camera shot. You don't do all these moments, and it feels like that's what they're doing here. They're getting the same camera shot there. It's very predictable somehow, and it shouldn't be.
It kind of feels like there's like that one kid in class who would say something that would make everyone laugh, and then they would say that joke again 6 or 7 times a day.
Yep. Yeah.
So you're like, oh yeah, everyone liked that one thing. I'm just going to do that one thing. It's what it's starting to feel like.
Yes. Like, this is my thing. Do this. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do more with it. Because if somebody can do something like yeet people out of a ring and have these moments of just incredible, frightening intimidation, that's a very broad thing, and you can do a lot with it. But we're like looking at the most basic part,
Yeah, and I think
Cut to 5 years, we're going to have Keith Lee's top 10, like the WWE top 10 on YouTube will be Keith Lee's top 10 rising moments, where he just stands up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He just stands up into the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they need to separate them for their own career. Like, I think what made the Sammy and KO stuff work was that they had a relatively short rivalry in NXT because KO immediately started going to the main roster to have his rivalries there. And although Sammy and KO seem to constantly drift back together, there's time in between each one of those matches.
And they, as performers, they always do something new to add to it. It feels like they leave everything out when they have a match or a moment together, or when they're like in an angle together, but then they don't. They reconnect, and it's a new story. Because even going on before NXT, when it was El Generico and Kevin Steen, they had years in multiple promotions together, and it never felt all put out there. It never felt like, okay, this is the same thing over and over again. And if you go back and watch highlights of it, it's not the same spots.
Yeah.
So
it's not.
It speaks to the quality of performers they are, but I feel like here, we're seeing something that it's the inverse. It's the opposite. These two guys are fantastic performers. Together, they've put it all out very rapidly. And maybe something we might need to ask is, and I don't want to ask this, are they that great a performer?
Yeah.
Because the more that these two are put together, the more I wonder, how many more spots do they have?
Yeah. I think that they should be like I feel like we're watching every live show. You know what I mean? Like, you put those two together so they work together well on live shows, and they learn a lot from each other, and they give a lot to because a live audience would go nuts, right? But it doesn't need to be televised. And I feel like that we're getting a televised run. Like, I mean, HBK and Scott Hall, they worked together hundreds of times before we ever saw them in that ladder match together. You know what I mean? Because they did it off camera. I feel like they need to do more off camera, I think, and a little less on. So that way when we finally get to them coming back, like at this point now, it's like I don't care to see the rehashing, where when Keith Lee first got the North American title, I thought, oh, this is going to be great when down the line Dijakovic shows up and says we've got some unfinished business, and we lead towards something else. But to have it immediately, I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't caring for it this early.
Do you wonder if they're doing that because NXT has some incredibly good long-term storytelling that maybe the reason they didn't hold off is that, like, it seems weird because this would have been way better told longer.
Yeah.
Not as long as like the Gargano Ciampa story, because I feel that that's gone way long.
Yeah.
It's a great story, but I feel like, and yes, an injury hampered it, but it's gone on, in my eyes, too long. Wouldn't this have been better if we extended this out further? It's weird coming from that promotion, that's done really good long-term storytelling,
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think this is a little rushed on it, and I even would be fine if it ultimately came down to being a multi-year thing that wasn't every week,
Yeah.
If once a year they had like a month-long dispute or something, that'd be interesting, But
I'm just wondering if it's like Keith Lee's size that they feel like they have to have somebody as big as him working with him. Kind of like when Braun, they kept showing Braun consistently, you know, for weeks, and it was the same thing over and over. And then when he went up against the Big Show, it was like, oh shit, this dude can actually put on, you know, matches and do different things. And I just wonder if, you know, they feel right now comfortable with Keith Lee going up against Dijakovic, and that's the reason why they keep bringing it up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wonder, maybe is it a thing of like, with similar to Braun, you build this person up so that they're such, like, you've made them into two really powerful, like, indestructible individuals within that promotion. Who else can they go against? But then, I mean, you have Priest, and you've built this promotion of like giant killers. They have some people they could go against. Why aren't we bringing like a Damian Priest or a Killian Dane into these? You know?
Yeah, I wonder if they don't believe in the believability of some of their smaller guys.
Yeah.
Let's see, AEW. Klump, did you watch it?
Yes.
I definitely watched it. What did you think of this week's Empty Arena show?
I like the way they did it. Like, I like having some type of crowd there, because like, I know we talked initially, like, when they had the larger crowd, it felt really weird because it felt like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, too much. And then the next week when they had nothing, but they were cutting to a cam of a room, that just felt weird, you know?
It felt really weird.
It made me think of Room Raiders or like Next, you know, like one of those MTV shows where they're like cutting to the other contestants, like, oh, you know, just watching things.
Oh, yeah.
It felt really weird. I think this was a good mix, and I like the idea of having the heel side and the face side.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like the small venue. Having it at Dave's Place, that larger venue, well, cool. It felt, I mean, I don't like that venue, period. I don't like, it's different for sure than doing like a performance center, but having it there for like an empty show really felt like an empty show. It felt weird and not a good way to me. So I like this smaller set.
It did. Oh yeah, the big arena felt really empty, where the smaller set feels a little more renegade.
Yeah.
It
would have been good.
You say something?
It just keeps cutting out.
Is the audio cutting out or just our video? The audio?
Our video's been frozen.
Yeah. But our audio's cutting out?
Yeah, and then it will randomly start again. Just so you know. I don't know what else to do.
When you shut it down, you didn't restart, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not much else we can do unless I just cut these dudes out. Or, I mean, we can do that. We can cut the AirPlay, and then I just won't see them.
Okay.
Go to the AirPlay how you turned it on and just disconnect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, I'm not going to be able to see you guys anymore.
Okay.
So now if you guys start using emojis and weird turd faces and stuff, I'm not going to know. Are you doing it already? Are we back? At least.
Visually it's still frozen, but I keep going out and restarting. See if there's any change.
Let's see. Man, we have 10 viewers.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Sorry about that. We're trying to figure out where this is kind of heavy on our streaming. I gotta sort out some
sorry,
of that.
guys.
Are we back on with audio at least?
We have audio.
We have audio? All right, so just bear with us with the choppy video. We're going to keep talking about this. AEW, I did feel like it was a little renegade. My problem with the way that they're using the wrestlers on the outside is they're undermining the whole scenario in an obvious and almost ignorant way. Right?
Yes.
So
I can get that. I can agree with that. To the extent that I'll actually retract what I said is I like the idea of it, but Yeah, and
I
it does
thought it was
feel
working, but then, I mean, by the time you get Sammy Guevara out there, this idiot walks out there on the phone, puts the phone into his pants, the front of his pants, walks down the line of all the heels, and touches arms with every single one of the heels. Every single one of them. Then at one point, he goes back to his phone, picks up his phone, now that he's been wrestling people, picks up his phone, walks over to the face side, and Brandy Rhodes then grabs his phone and then starts walking amongst the faces.
Yeah, and
That's a completely... Like, how stupid can you be? If any one of those people actually had it and they weren't going to get it, now they definitely all are.
So when you bring that up, something it does make me think of, and I didn't think about watching it, but comparing it to WWE, maybe this is like the big difference maker to me. WWE does things like, this is wrestling. It's a sport that you can't do. It's content you can't do 6 feet away from each other. You have to make physical contact with your performer. So in doing that, you kind of have to ignore what's going on in the match.
Yes.
In commentary. But do we need to then bring it back in this tongue-in-cheek way? Because that does minimize it. I agree with you. And do we have to, do more to kind of pull it away? I applaud the idea of having, the people there having like some kind of audience reaction, because being totally quiet's weird. But when you're doing the arm touching, but then, and not just touching each other, like shaking hands, stuff like that, and then having that be part of, this play, it makes it weird. It makes it more apparent. It makes it
look like you're undermining the whole thing, like that you don't care about it at all. And none of us know what's happening backstage. They all could be sitting in one big room, high-fiving, hugging, whatever. It's one thing to do something. It's another thing to portray something. You know what I mean? WWE may be handling it horribly off camera, but the thing is I don't know. And for them to actually just literally by watching the product, you can see them poorly handling it and not taking it seriously. It's a little frustrating to watch. At one point, they throw Cody into the area where all the heels are. They all gather around him, and as they're rubbing up against each other and punching him, Britt Baker takes off her shoe and starts hitting him with the bottom of her shoe. And you're like, you're literally rubbing everything on everyone. And like you said, at the very least with WWE, they got the 2 people in the match touching, but they're not interacting with other people. Yeah. And you don't know what's happening between matches, what's sanitized, what's not, but you definitely know it's not happening during the match,
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say, and if you're going to have that happen, if you're going to have that physical contact, if you're going to have that happen, just do it. Don't tongue-in-cheek pull to it, and, in a sense, it's apparent by the different arena. We don't need to do more where we're like, we're doing this. Because if we're going to the extent that we're going to, minimize contact and stuff like that, then why are we doing this?
Yeah, and if you're if you're trying to make it look like, hey, we're minimizing contact, we're doing all these things to do it, then don't suddenly try to figure out how do we utilize those people to get them involved physically. Just don't. Yes. Like, if they had those 6 people on both sides making the noise and the racket, I understand the guns getting close because they're father and son. I understand the Rhodes getting close because they're married. They're married. There's no way they're not living together. You know what I mean? Like, I understand those levels of breaking that down, but I don't understand why you had to get everyone so physically involved. If you just left it at the end, we could say it's a little weird they didn't use them, but maybe they're playing it safe, and then that would be the end of the conversation. But for them to be like, they had them out there and they're trying to do this big thing, and they really wanted to show that they're trying, and then they undid all of it. Sean Spears pulling money out of the front of his trunks, throwing it down, and Sammy then pulling it and putting it in the front of his trunks. And then he goes and tags someone, and you're like, the fuck? Like, you're rubbing your junk on each other now, too.
You're not going to get COVID. You're going to get worse things there.
You're getting skeevies.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. Kevin starts drinking, goes, I'd hate to go through that ever.
This
is going to be one of those times I'm not going to have a fun trying to defend this shit.
I didn't watch it. I'm just listening to you guys. Like, oh, then he rubbed his drunk on him, and he did this. I was like, sounds like a horror show.
Yeah. Right now, especially.
Well, that's fun. But
yeah.
That's just evening activities, okay?
Yeah.
But so like that aside, their complete disregard and irresponsibility for what is going on and why we're here, why this is the story that we're telling. Apart from that, the show wasn't necessarily bad. Are they pushing Trent to be like a top star? Because he's really given the what for to their top guys.
It was, I've noticed that. What's funny is like when we had GR Lunar present, like GR Lunar and I, who have a little bit more background with Trent, never really liked Trent.
Yeah.
Like in NJPW, boring ass motherfucker. He's always been the end this of it. He's the Marty Jannetty of what he's in.
Yeah. So
seeing Marty Jannetty give it like hell to Bret Hart is weird.
Yeah.
And Diesel and on and on. It's interesting. I thought it was a good match, but I wonder, is it more that like in WWE and in NXT, well, we have these people here. We have a lot of content. Evidently, AEW's filmed a lot of content. They filmed, for what they're saying, weeks of content. Are we going to see a lot of weird matchups? We'll see. I'm not sure it's bad to see them make people look strong, but the thing I think is, if you're going to do this and build them up, and you're going based on points and stuff, it's hard to say, but he really gave what for to Kenny and still lost. Because at the end of it, it's numbers. It's, they gave a great, the team did great in the Super Bowl, but they lost.
Yeah.
So you need to get wins over people. And I think I would say AEW's biggest weakness to me is a reliance on, all of these teams, all of these people look fantastic. And then at the end of it, because they're so reliant on numbers and booking in this way and points, the person who's important wins, and nobody gets a moment over.
That makes sense. I also wonder, there was a point where I'm wondering, are they sending this guy to the moon? Also, I stop wondering that when I see them do the same stuff with like Jay Lethal and stuff. Like, they have all these dudes who are like pretty low on the card do really, really well against their top card because they're trying to show that everyone's a main eventer, but that just means no one's a main eventer. You know what I mean? And so I didn't know if this was another case of, hey, everyone's a main eventer, or if this was, are they actually pushing someone? Which also means that their whole preset is, his presentation is muddy if I can't tell when someone's being pushed or not.
Yes. And going based on that, and that is a good point, when you see, a face doesn't have to face everyone. John Cena doesn't have to face everyone. He can, and he can look dominant or he can lose, but he's still this like top level because he's not going against every single person every single week and all these random low end people.
Yeah.
If we go based on like how WWE would book someone, the way that they're doing this with like Kenny and everyone is, your top person in your company is your top people are the Inner Circle and MJF. Yes. And there's no top faces because the faces will take on everyone. The only people who say, I'm not or aren't facing, people in the mid lower card who, we'd say are these upper echelon superstars are your heels.
Yes.
It's kind of equal. Yeah, it's kind of egalitarian, or it's kind of, there's a sense of equity in it, that everyone's facing everyone on the face side, but it doesn't make it as special,
Yeah.
And I think the other thing with it too, like for these people, as I watched them become very special in New Japan, they faced everyone, but they also were not winning every time. You know, they became really important people in a very different structure. So seeing, in a sense, part of that replicated by them not winning or, you know, well, actually by them being so protected, it doesn't make them feel as special. Kenny Omega has fantastic matches, but he doesn't feel as special to me as he did in New Japan.
Yeah, he doesn't feel as, like you said, he doesn't feel as special over here.
Yeah.
And there's like this assumed special that they keep having with themselves and each other that is also just frustrating in general.
Yeah.
Because this assumed special about the Young Bucks